As twilight draped its velvet cloak over the village, Red Riding Hood darted from shop to shop with a growing urgency. Her crimson cloak, usually so vibrant, fluttered behind her like a streak of fire in the deepening dusk. The narrow cobblestone streets were now shrouded in a sinister hush, broken only by her frantic footsteps and the occasional flicker of a lantern. Her once methodical search had become a desperate race against the encroaching night. She had visited every merchant in the village, from the herbalist to the apothecary, her heart pounding as she asked for the one thing she could not find, a rare herb needed for her grandmother. At long last, as the crescent moon began its slow rise, Red Riding Hood had procured what she urgently needed. The village, now shrouded in an almost otherworldly glow, seemed to hold its breath as she left. Her crimson cloak flowed behind her, the rising moon casting long, wavering shadows that danced ominously on the ground as she made her way swiftly toward the forest, determined to reach her grandmother's cottage before the night fell into deeper darkness. The path through the forest was treacherous, and Red Riding Hood's journey was fraught with a growing sense of unease. As she traversed the winding trails, she encountered a wolf with fur as dark as the night. At first glance, the wolf seemed oddly refined, his eyes intelligent and his demeanor surprisingly gentle. "Good evening, young lady," the wolf said smoothly, his voice dripping with false kindness. "Where are you headed on such a fine night?" Without pausing to stop her swift steps, Red Riding Hood hesitated but replied, "I'm on my way to my grandmother's house. She's ill, and I have some special medicine for her." The wolf's eyes glinted with an unsettling curiosity. "Such a noble task. You are truly a wonderful granddaughter," he said. "Why don't you let me help you? I might know a faster way to her cottage, if you tell me where she lives." Although charmed by the wolf's courteous manner, Red Riding Hood was still wary. "Thank you, but I have traveled this path many times and I'm sure it's the fastest." The wolf sighed, his expression shifting to one of apparent disappointment. "Ah, I understand your hesitation. I only wish to assist. My intentions are purely good. However, if you change your mind, I am here to help." The wolf then fell into lockstep and shadowed along Red Riding Hood. After a few moments, the wolf attempted his second persuasive tactic. "Your grandmother must be very sick if she needs special medicine, so sick that every moment without it," the wolf paused to emphasize his deceit, "could be deathly. Don't you want to make sure she gets the medicine as soon as possible?" A worried look swept over Red Riding Hood's face as she softly said yes. Seeing her resolve wither, the wolf stepped in front of her. "Look at me. My keen eyes can see clearly in the dark, far better than yours ever could in this dimming night. My large mouth can carry the basket securely, ensuring nothing spills or gets lost along the way. And my strong claws make me swifter than any human, allowing me to reach her cottage much faster than you could manage." He leaned in closer with a smooth, persuasive tone. "Let me help you. Let me help her." Despite her reservations, Red Riding Hood found herself convinced by the wolf's seemingly earnest concern. "Well, if you insist, perhaps it would be wise to let you take the medicine. But remember, grandmother has a special knock. It's the only way to prove it's really me." She reached her hand to a nearby tree and tapped her knuckles on the bark. Knock, a pause, then knock knock, another pause, and a final knock. "Of course," the wolf said, his voice almost soothing. "I'll make sure she gets it, and I'll follow your instructions precisely." With that, Red Riding Hood told the wolf where her grandmother lived and handed over the basket. The wolf pounced off into the forest, his gait almost too purposeful. Red resumed her journey, but her uneasy feelings grew stronger. She quickened her pace, driven by an inexplicable urge to reach her grandmother's cottage before something went awry. The wolf arrived at grandmother's cottage, the moon casting shadows across the quaint stone walls. He carefully placed the basket of medicine on the ground and lifted a heavy paw to the door. He knocked with deliberate rhythm. Knock, a pause, then knock knock, another pause, and a final knock. Inside, the grandmother's voice, soft and warm despite the chilling night, called out, "I'm coming, sweet child." The wolf's heart raced, and his teeth salivated with anticipation, his gaze of friendly concern almost too perfect, as he awaited the door to creak open. But the door did not creak. It flew open with a violent swing. A jolt of confusion and terror surged through the wolf as he stood frozen on the threshold. His strong claws now trembled in fear. His large mouth gaped open in disbelief. His keen eyes shifted nervously at the sight before him. A shotgun at point-blank range, held by grandmother, who stood with a steely gaze. With a cold, measured calmness, she simply said, "Not so clever." As Red Riding Hood approached her grandmother's cottage, she rapped the door with a distinct, reassuring rhythm. Knock, knock. A brief pause, followed by knock, knock, knock. The door creaked open, and she was greeted by the warm, inviting aroma of a simmering stew that filled the air. Stepping inside, she smiled at her grandmother, who was stirring a pot on the hearth. Red Riding Hood knowingly inquired, "What's for supper?" The grandmother's eyes twinkled as she replied, "It's your favorite wolf stew, made even better with the herbs and spices you bought." Red Riding Hood's smile widened into a devious grin, her eyes reflecting a satisfaction that hinted at a cunning plan coming to fruition. Thank you for watching, Wanderer. Press the like and subscribe buttons for more Kindled tales. If you're interested in another story, here are some others.